Hi, I'm Gracie, and this is Scott from Small Worlds Big Adventures Building Community Through Gaming, and today we're going to be reviewing Castle Panic.
Castle Panic is a game for 1 to 6 players. It plays in 45 minutes. The cost is $35. Setup and teardown is about 10 minutes.
Pretty quick.
The gameplay is you're defending your castle from waves of monsters. You draw and collect cards to defeat.
Yeah. At the short of it, it's a tower defender game.
Yeah.
And we're curious what your favorite tower defender game is. For me, when I think of tower defender games, I think of really like phone games and apps. So my favorite is Plants vs. Zombies. Iconic. Gotta keep those zombies out of your garden.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't play them very often. I like them from time to time. I believe there literally used to be one called Tower Defense, didn't we? That we
I'm sure.
played on the computer. That the attack sounds literally were somebody going pew pew.
When we're reviewing this tower defender game, we review games on a 5-point scale, starting at terrible, bad, mixed, good, and excellent. And to kick it off, we're going to discuss player agency. So what did you think player agency-wise?
I chose mixed as my player agency. You do get to choose what you want to do on your turn, but this is a co-op game. You're playing against the game itself, so you're always going to have kind of a increasingly difficult aspect of the game that just gets harder and harder as you go on. And so this game especially limits your choices. You only have so many cards in your hand. You can trade cards with each other, which is an interesting aspect, but it does limit what you're going to be able to do if you want to have a good playthrough.
I also said mixed based on literally the cards in your hand or in your teammate's hand. Like, you don't really have choices. Like, you just kind of do everything you can. But having said that, especially if you're working with your team and whatnot, you guys can strategize and whatnot versus like if you're just in your own hand.
Most of the time you'll have something you can do, but literally you could have a turn where a player literally doesn't do it.
Yeah, I think I had like 2 turns like that in one of our games. Mechanics wise, what do you think?
I thought the mechanics were good. The way that the co-op aspect works of needing to use the right card at the right time works well versus the creatures that are coming up on you, but it works really well in that you're playing a co-op game and you're able to and encouraged to trade cards with each other, and you kind of need to, because you kind of have to plan ahead of where these monsters are going to be so that I have the right card to hit them at the right time. The rules are pretty simple. You only have a handful of cards, at least in the base game, that you can use to defeat the monsters. They're fairly simple. You know when and where to use them. The monsters themselves don't have a whole lot going on, other than some of them are bigger than others, with a few things added in to kind of spice it up, which work well. I think the mechanics are good.
I agree. You're on a circle around your tower. And so there's a little bit of randomness about where things pop up and whatnot. But despite that, given the cards in your hand, you are normally able to like handle what is coming at you. So I definitely think that is good. The mechanics of drawing, again, it's that randomization thing. Sometimes you draw all the bad things at once.
Yeah.
And you got to keep that in mind.
Yep.
You got to be prepared for that. But all in all, I think it plays well.
Yeah.
When it comes to components, I think that the components are good. Like, base level good. Like, the low side, like, they're not mixed. They're fine. They're cardboard. Even the drawing things are cardboard. The little...
Tokens?
Yeah, tokens. The map is pretty simple. It's good. Nothing extravagant.
Sure. I put mixed. And I struggled with this one a little bit. mainly come down to we've certainly at this point hit a more modern era of board games.
Yep.
And I'm definitely beginning to expect a certain level of quality in board game mechanics, and this one is average.
Yeah.
The monsters are all little tokens, little cardboard tokens, which is fine. The towers that you're defending are little cardboard towers. That's fine.
They do stand up though.
They stand up.
Flat.
They're sitting on a standee. The cards are fine. The art on them is okay. I don't think it's anything super great, but they're
it's like a cutesy fantasy.
they work.
Yeah.
It's all fine.
Yeah.
So I waffled a little bit. I think you kind of did too on whether
Yeah.
I wanted to call it good or call it mixed, but I think I go with mixed on this one.
And I go,
Yeah. It's average is about what I would say at this point compared to modern board games.
like, some of the things they could have done to elevate it is have the monsters be like stand-up things, or elevate some of the cardboard pieces to plastic or resin pieces.
Gameplay wise, there's so many of those little tokens for the monsters that would have been hard to do. And we mentioned it earlier, but the game is only $35.
Yeah,
like it's cheap. So,
yeah.
It's not a detriment, but if you're looking for amazing game components, this is.
And I think one of the things that you and I have talked about is the artwork on the cards. They just change colors.
Yeah, some of them are just color swaps.
Whereas when we look at like Dragoncraft and other games like that, they have unique artwork for every card.
Yeah.
Price differential is a little bit more there. But again, just another way that like it's mixed or good and not excellent.
Yep.
When it comes to theming, what do you think about theming?
I thought the theming was good. You are defending the towers from waves of monsters, and it more or less feels like you're defending the tower from waves of monsters.
Yep. I went mixed, and for one very specific reason. The boulder.
Okay.
So the boulder card comes up, and it literally goes until it hits something, even if it's your something.
Sure.
And like it takes out all the monsters in that thing. Where's this boulder coming from? Are we making the boulder? Why is it coming back at us? Is the goblins and whatnot making the boulder? Why are they letting it hit their guys? In a battlefield, there's not just random boulders.
Okay.
And I won't lie, it did take me out of it. I thought way too much about it in the game.
Okay.
But the boulder just goes like it was very concerning.
All right. Fair, I guess.
Overall enjoyability, I thought was good, despite the boulder. It was one of those games, we got it, we opened it, we played it again, and we played it again.
Yeah, we played it 3 times. Yeah, pretty much that first afternoon. We won the first game, and honestly, I think we all 3 of us thought, oh, this might be a little too easy.
Yeah.
Then we lost that second game, and then we won the third one. I also rated this as good enjoyability. It's a solid, I think, addition to any game library. Mainly because it plays quick. It's a cheap game, which isn't necessarily a good reason to add it to your library, but like it makes it an easy pickup.
It's an approachable. Yeah.
We literally picked this up in a grouping of like a $20 game and like a $15 game too. Like it was just, well, we're just shopping for stuff. Here's our budget. It's like, oh, we can grab all 3 of these, and that's great.
Amazon Prime Day.
Yeah. I think we both agreed that this feels like the way the game plays out, it play well with a younger audience, especially if you have an adult playing with them, because the co-op aspect helps and the trading aspect helps everybody to work together, and you can kind of explain what's going on real simply. It's fun. Like it's a fun game. It's simple, but it works real well, and I think it'll be one that we frequently pull out when we're just looking for something kind of like we talked about end of the night games. I think this is kind of gets added to that list in a lot of ways. Yeah,
100%. Going off of that, like, what are your final thoughts about the game?
The co-op for this works well. The trading the cards is necessary because you have to anticipate who's going to be able to take out what before they get to which level of the board that the monsters are at. And that makes it a pretty good co-op. Again, it removes a little bit of the agency because if somebody's got that card, you kind of need that card. And if they don't give it to you, then you don't get that monster at the right time.
Technically, they don't have to.
And they don't have to. They don't have to trade any of the cards. But I do like the co-op for this. I think the co-op works real well. The game is simple. It's not quite a gateway game, in my opinion, I think. It's not quite as simple for that. It's great for if one or two of us knew how to play, to pull somebody who doesn't play nerdy games to kind of help guide them through it would be good. But it's not a game where I would just buy it and give it to somebody who isn't into kind of these more complex games. And I sometimes you just want a more simple game to just kind of pull out and mindlessly, not mindlessly, but play through. I think it works great for that. The game has expansions. I think there's at least 4 of them in the rulebook that we had. I don't know if there are more than that or not. And I know there's a big box you can buy that has 4 of the expansions. Expansions are usually a good example of a game that was popular enough and then hopefully is good enough that it got expansions to it. And it means if you like, especially if it's kind of a simple game like this, if you like it a lot, you can buy 1 or 2 of the expansions to make it a little bit more complex and add some extra stuff to it, or even just kind of extend the life of playing the game.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get bored with the game if you played it a lot and stuff, and that's always good.
Yeah. For me, one of the things was the easy replayability. I definitely appreciate a game that, like, once you end it, you feel like you can just go right back into it. And that definitely has this, like, especially if you just lost one. It's like, well, let's do this again. I will say it's a cooperative game, but depending on who you're playing with, you have to be careful not to steamroll other players, because there's definitely players who are confident and like, I know what should happen, and there's players that are more introverted, quiet, less confident, and so you have to definitely create a space where they're not getting steamrolled because their other teammates are like dictating what they should do.
We've discussed this a little bit in some of the other games and in this, but that's part of what the agency rating that we give partly is, because again, sometimes these games are so close to the edge that you'll get a player who's like, well, if we don't do it this way, we're going to lose, and that kind of goes into that.
Yeah, and then like I do 100% think that this game will age down well for like, those 6 to 8 year olds, with the right parental guidance and whatnot. But again, you have to kind of navigate that, like making sure, if it's a bunch of kids playing, like no one's steamrolling younger kids, or like, and you should probably just do a video of like, you want to create an opportunity with young players that they feel empowered to play and not dictated to do a thing.
Right.
And this would be a great game for like empowering their inner board game player so that they want to learn to play more and play fairly, be a good board game player. Now, having said that, if you don't coordinate, you don't work together as a team, the likelihood you're going to win this game is very slim.
Yeah.
And part of that is the cards are so specific to where they play that the likelihood you'll have the right card on your turn without your teammates is pretty slim.
It's your hand of cards is unlikely to solve any individual problem that comes up.
Yep. And while like my final thoughts are a little cautionary, it does not take away from the game.
No, yeah.
I want to play this again.
Yeah.
I want to play it a lot more times. And I think the people we play with will enjoy this as well.
Yeah, I think so too. You hit on it a couple times. I'm not sure we really discussed it enough or really where to slot that in, but it's kind of a final thing. For a game like this, while I do really like it, the randomness of it is part of kind of that issue where you could have a turn where there's so much that gets thrown at you at random that you won't be able to overcome that problem.
Now, thankfully, due to the dynamics of how the tower and walls and all that work, even if you lose something, you're unlikely to lose the game with one turn like that.
Right.
But it is one of those things where you got to keep an eye on it.
Yep.
When we're looking at other games that, if you like these games, you'll probably like Castle Panic. Forbidden Island is one you listed.
Yeah, it's got a similar co-op aspect to it. It's got a similar card sharing or resource sharing aspect that is necessary in both these games. That's a good example. If you like Forbidden Island, you'll probably like this.
And kind of building off of that, one of our critiques of Forbidden Island is it is very like fine edge. You kind of have to play right. There's a lot more forgivingness in this game than Forbidden Island.
There's more leeway.
So if you kind of liked it, but you're like, man, that was a little stressful, you'll probably like this one more.
Yeah.
We did. Arkham Horror, we thought it was another, if you like Arkham Horror, you would like this game.
Yeah, again, kind of a bit of a stretch, but the co-op aspect of that and the needing to fight essentially waves of monsters kind of thing is a similar idea at any rate.
Yeah. And then Legendary. Again, it's this like game where you don't trade cards in it, but together with your separate decks, you are fighting a wave of monsters.
Yeah.
So if you like any of those games, this is at least worth giving a try.
Yeah.
If you found our review interesting, you should go ahead and drop a like on this video. And if you want to hear more game reviews, see walkthroughs of games, hear gamekeeper advice, go ahead and hit subscribe. And if you hit that notification bell, you'll be notified the next time we upload. If there's nothing else, we'll see you next time. And if you like this video, you should go ahead and like the video. No, I'm going to do that.
If you like this video, you should like it. I like that you like this video. You should like that.